Hello, my name's John, these are my Drookian Fen Guard, and you're watching Wargames, Models, and Other Hobbies. Hello and welcome back to the sixth part of this series of videos where I convert a squad from one model. If you haven't seen any of the other videos, I'll put a link in the description to the playlist. All of these models have been made from Veteran Sergeant Gonya from Hell's Last. I wanted to create a small squad of Drookian Fen Guard, and it was a perfect model to start. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to go through each of the models, and I'm going to do the finishing details, tidy a few little bits up, and so on. So we'll start at the very beginning with the Sergeant here. Now the first thing that I want to do with all of these, I want to rebase them. So rather than them being on the sculpted bases, which are all identical, they'll be on separate bases that I can then, when I decide how to paint them, sort out those squad bases. So the first thing I'm going to do is pull off the old base, and you'll notice that the front of the foot hasn't come off with this one. So I might see if I can cut it off the original base. If that doesn't work, I'll sculpt a new one. But what I want to do first is I'm just going to have a look around at some of these details that are on here. So we have a rock on the side of the foot there, and then another rock on the heel there, and what looks like a little bit of rebar or something like that there. So I'm going to trim some of these off, and all these little bits I'm going to put to one side, and as well as the bases, I'm going to look at some of these other details that I might remove and adjust. So with this one, I'm going to take that fully off, and there is a little bit of a stone underneath this foot, which I'm going to cut this down. Okay. And looking at the one on this foot, I've got to be careful not to take too much detail away from the foot itself. And I might, on some of them, leave it in place, but I just want to be really careful as I go. So that's going to go on there like that. Before I stick it down, however, what I want to do is I think I'm going to remove these scabbards with the dagger. On the original model, she's holding the dagger, but for these guys, I want to take it off. So all I'm going to do is carefully scrape that nice and clean. And I'm not sure how long this video is going to be, as each character has got a few different little things to be done to it. Okay, so that's come off nice and easy. I do want to put something extra just here. So I'm thinking I do have a selection of grenades, and I'm just going to add a single grenade to that belt line. So I'm going to carefully trim those two in half, and then clean this off a bit. There we go. So I don't think, just having a quick look at this one, there's no green stuff work that I need to do on this one unless I need to rebuild that foot. But to start with, let's get this grenade in place. There we go. Now, if you'd like to see me convert more of this squad, please drop it in the comments. It's something that I'd be really quite interested to do, as a project. I have enjoyed this, and I would like to take it further, maybe make a small 500 point Fen Guard detachment or something along those lines, or have them just as extra models in an Imperial Guard army. Now I'm just going to hold that carefully in place. I'm just going to move that to one side for now, very carefully, and let's have a look at this. I'm going to see if I can take this foot off. If I can do this successfully, I will do it for all of the other models as I go, but I probably won't do it in the video, just to save you a bit of time of watching the same thing happening over and over again. So I want to be quite careful as I do this. Can't really use clippers on this, and I do just want to take a moment while I do it and be really careful with the. What I also don't want to do is stab myself in the finger while I do this. Now I do like the sculpted bases, but when you've got a whole squad and they end up being on the same base, it doesn't really work. There we go. Let's see how that's. I mean, that base I can use for something else as well. It's not caused too much damage to it. Let's clean the edge of this up. I'll make sure I stay on camera as well. I've moved my camera position and lighting around before I started filming this video. So just as I get used to where I need to be here, I'm now here. Okay, let's see how that sits on there. Okay, so it is raised up slightly, which means I will have to play around with the bases a little bit when I come to the other characters, but that's okay. Okay. But also, by the time I put some technical paint on the bases and start building them up, it'll be okay. Okay. So there is the first model all based up. I'm going to put that to one side to let that dry. Now the next model, let's bring this in, is our Flamer Trooper. And on this one I just want to have a look around. I can't remember off the top of my head if I had any. Yeah, I've got a little bit of filling I need to do here with the green stuff. And also I want to remove that dagger there. So let's pull this one off the base. I didn't trim any of the stuff off this one when I did the video, so I'm going to start by taking off a few of these little bits of the base. Now, something that I have noticed over this month and last month, my videos have centered around one kind of project. So as I've worked on it through the month, I've done a video on it. If you've liked this kind of concentrating on one theme over the month, please drop it in the comments. Always open to feedback on how I'm producing my videos. As with the last one, I'm going to have to do the foot, but I'll do that separately after the video. And what I will do is at the end of this video, I will put some photos of the completed squad so you can see them. So for this one, I've got a few little pouches and things. I'm going to put a different pouch on this one so they don't all end up with the same bit of kit on each one. There we go. And it did have a little kind of peg on the back of that one, which I will remove as it's just fallen off. There we go. As with all of my videos, these are real time. I don't do any cuts or anything like that unless there's a ring at the doorbell, have to let the dog out, or I get a phone call or something like that. That's it. Okay, that's better. Oh, sorry if that was off camera. Okay, so this one's going to need some green stuff work on it, but I'm going to do that all at the same time at the end. So let me glue this onto the base for now. And yeah, what I will do is I'll mix up green stuff for all of the models that I need to do some green stuff work on, and do that in one hit. And it will give a little bit of time for the glue to dry. So what I am going to have to do, I'm going to have to position this one leaning against something so it doesn't move forward. So I'm just going to move this off camera for now, and then when that's dry I'll be able to do the green stuff. So the next one is the Trooper. So again, this does need a little bit of green stuff filling on one of the arms. Let's take it off the base, ready to remove those bits. Oops. And what I will do with this one, actually, I'm going to leave some of the items in place. So some of the rocks and things like that, just to add a little bit of variation, because I haven't changed the legs at all. There is a kind of a similarity between a lot of the models, and I just want to try and get rid of that somewhat by adjusting things like the bases and so on. Okay, so yeah, that's going to stand okay. So I do have some other bits and pieces I want to apply to some of these models. So the first one is the little shovel. That's the dog just getting up. Oh no, that's alright, he's okay. Where was I? Yeah, this little shovel from this Krieg set that I've got. And I'm liking the way that that goes on there. I'm not sure which way round it should go, actually. We can just have a quick look at some other instructions that I've got of another kit, just so I can see which way round it's meant to go. Doesn't really say on that one. Never mind. Let's put that to one side. And I'm gonna put it that way round. If it's wrong, hey ho, it's wrong. But got to make sure I put the lid on my glue each time. I had an accident yesterday where I spilt a load of glue. That's okay. Yeah, no, that's okay. Just makes the backpack different on this one compared to the other ones. And let's trim off the dagger, as the same with the other ones. Right, now what am I going to put on this one? I do have a nice water bottle, canteen. Yeah, I'm going to fit a nice big canteen on this one. Now, like I said, if you'd like me to see me do more of these conversions, please drop it in the comments. I've been thinking about getting a hold of a few more Grania models to be able to do this one squad from one model, and it does seem to be kind of working. Okay, will do. Should have done this first, but I'm going to just take off a little bit of that on the bottom. I don't want to knock those little details I've added. The other benefit of putting them on separate bases rather than the sculpted bases, it means that they all get slightly different positions on those bases, so it adds to the different possible looks, so they don't all look identical. Gonna have to hold this one for a little while. There we go. Just gonna move that to one side. That's okay. Right, let's have a look at the next one. This is the Scout. Now this has a lot more sculpting on it rather than anything else. So first thing I will do, before I take it off the base, let's trim off this dagger. And I was thinking, if I get any more of these, like I'm planning to do, I might go for the risk of repositioning legs and things like that, just to get a different look to the models. But again, we shall see. Okay, I think for this one, so I do have these little bits of kit, and I think a selection of grenades will work well with this one. Let's just see how. I have to trim the back section off these ones. There we go. Before I stick those on, let's sort this one out. So I'm going to trim it slightly differently to the last one, but leave most of the rock, or some of the rock, in place. Oh, just knocked his knife off. I'll re-glue that as well. It happens occasionally when you're working on models like this, but it doesn't matter. Easily fixed. Okay, so let's get those grenades in place first. All the glues run down the side, which is a little bit annoying, but never mind. What I can do is just tap some glue onto there for a bit of capillary action with it. Well, it's moving around quite a bit. Okay, this one is getting a little bit annoying there. Okay, what I might do as well, that's... No, I won't put one of those on there for now. Let's leave it as this one. There we go. Okay, fine. When you put too much of the Tamiya glue on, it does start to melt the plastic quite a bit, so you've got to be careful. Oops, helps if I actually put it in position before I let go. Okay, that is in position. Let's put some glue on bottom of the feet. And then he stands up on his own there. There we go. Okay, so let's carefully move him to one side and let him dry. And bring the fifth member on, which is the grenade launcher character. Let's take him off the base, as with the others. And for this one, let's trim most off the back. And then I'm going to leave most of the one on the front in place. So let's flatten these down somewhat. There we go. Okay, so this one's going to need a little bit of green stuff work in places. The main difference for this one is I've got to make a new backpack. So, as with all of them, I'll take the dagger off. Okay, so for the backpack, I have the old Cadian grenade launcher weapons pouch, and what I'm going to do is cut off the water canteen, and I'm thinking I might just put this, put it on his back, or then just, so I'm dropping everything. I might just put this on their back actually, and then, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So I had a little bit of time to think about this one, as I wasn't too sure what I wanted to do with the backpack. But once I saw I had this, it kind of worked itself out. And it will also change the profile somewhat, which is quite nice to have a different profile. Right, am I going to use this backpack, or do I have another alternative one? I do have a few things next to me just here. There we go. That one. Nope. So I have the Scions one. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get that backpack and I'm going to trim the bottom off it. So I'll take the bottom off and then the rest can just hang there. So let's try and do this nice and tidy. There we go. What it means is I have a spare backpack from the original model now that I could use on something else. Oops. Okay, so what I want to do now on the inside of this is just take a little bit of that away so it will sit a little bit clear. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so a little bit on there to tack it in place. Put a little bit underneath there. So it might not be the most appropriate place for this model to have it on there, but it just changes up that profile a little bit. Oops, sorry, off camera. So what I want to do now is see how this fits to the base. There we go. Position that just there. Oops. Oh, that's come off. Never mind. That's. Oh, patience. I need my patience back again rather than rushing. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to let these dry for a little bit before I get onto the green stuff. So for you, it's just going to be a quick transition. For me, it's going to be a few minutes just waiting for the glue to dry. So I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so I've let them all dry. So I've also cut the feet off the old bases and stuck them all on. You saw it once, you didn't need to see it all 5 times. And now I'm just mixing up a little bit of green stuff, and I'm going to go through each model and do the green stuff work on each one. So let's have a quick look at the first model. I'm not going to worry about, just use a sculpting tool as a pointer, the gap underfoot here, as when I get around to doing the bases, that'll have detail and things put on there anyway. I mean, I might do it later on, I'm not sure, but I think for the sergeant, there is nothing I need to add. For the flamer operative, I'm going to need to fill the gap under the arm there, and then also just continue the strap. Oh, sorry, nearly went off camera then. Continue the strap from the flamer there. So that's one thing I've got to do. From, well, obviously that didn't dry then. Let me quickly glue that back on while I'm waiting. So let's reposition that on there. There we go. Just hold that in place. Obviously, I didn't have enough glue on that in the first place, but never mind. Okay. As I said, with all my real-time videos, what you see is what you get. I'm not going to hide the fact that that fell off. So for this one, yeah, again, a little bit of filling under the arm there. I'm going to put that one aside because I'll do that one last as that's now gluing. On the scout, under the arm needs doing, and then I want to do a little bit of resculpting here and filling in the neck there. The way that I had to cut that, I kind of want to bring that down and around a little bit there. And then finally the grenade launcher. Again, a few little bits of filling under the arms. I want to continue that strap up and over the shoulder, and then that arm needs a little bit of a fill as well. So let's get started. So I'll start with the filling under arms and things like that. So what I'm going to do is just make a few small balls of green stuff. And then I'm going to use that little pointer to get it into the right position. And what I'm looking to do is just push it into place for now. And as I push it, I'll start to form a little bit of shape to it, because all this needs to be is a smoothed out area. I can put some creases into it so it looks like fabric, but that's all I'm looking for from there really, nothing overly complicated. There we go. Let's just tidy up that back section just there. And that's it. That's that bit filled. So I'm going to do all the arms first, then the little details. So now that one's done, but I need to do the strap on there. Let's get the scout. And this is going to need a little bit more green stuff in the armpit there. I've gone and hit the knife. That's going to need some reinforcement later on, but I'm not worried about that right now. So what I'm kind of doing is pushing the green stuff in place, as well as pushing it into the void of the body. Now if I do these conversions again to make a full 10-man squad, I think I'll probably start by filling the bodies so there's no cavity in them, which would, I think, allow for an easier conversion. But tell me what you think in the comments, whether you think it would or not. Okay, I'm just gonna put a little bit of glue on that knife handle. There we go. Okay, so whoop, as I drop him. Next thing I want to do is put some into the neck hole just there. And this might end up being me putting quite a bit of green stuff in there to fill the void somewhat. There we go. That's okay, that's working now. So now I've got that in there, I'm going to use this end of this one just push it in slightly. There we go. So we now have that sitting there. So then with this one I've got to do the sculpting on there, but I'll do that in a bit. So let's put that to one side. Grab the grenade launcher. That only needs a little bit of filling under one of the arms. This arm was a bit loose earlier on, and I did put a little bit of glue on it. So we'll see how that goes. So I know that I'm losing quite a bit of green stuff by pushing it into these voids, but it is going to fill those gaps quite nicely. Okay, there we go. Let's get that bit from under the armpit. And I think that's it for that, apart from the top of the strap, which I'll do in a minute. Let's go back to this trooper. And this is where it's going to be a little bit trickier because I've got this cable in the way. But like the other ones, I can use this tool just to work my way around the edge. There we go. Okay. Need a little bit more there. Now I've got to think about painting these as well. And probably leave it for quite a while so I can get a good idea of the scheme that I want for them. But I'm definitely going to have to try one of the tartans, as the original model, I'll put it on screen, has a little bit of tartan in there. I think that's going to be needed. Okay, so that's that one done. Let's go back to this flamer guy, and I want to get this strap going over the shoulder there. So what I've done is rolled a little ball of green stuff, which I'm going to put in place and push it down into position like that. Then going to go for this bladed piece. Bladed tool, sorry. And just gently cut and position that. That's all I'm looking to do there, just that little bit of a strap going over, and then I can tuck it slightly under the bedroll, and there we go, there's that one done. Let's do the same on the grenade launcher. It's going to need a little bit more on this one. As it's not a complex bit of sculpting, I'll get that out of the way. So, I'm going to want it to tuck underneath here. There we go. So I always tend to mix up a little bit more green stuff than I need, but I will use any leftover bits on the bases of these ones, which, if I get a chance in this video, I'll put it in. Oh, sorry, out of focus. There we go, there's... There we go. There's that strap going over the top there and under his satchel. Was there any more on this one? Don't think there was any more on this one. No, so he's done. Okay, let's get to this one where I want to do a bit of a resculpt here to bring the cowl, I think it's a cowl, correct me if I'm wrong, up under the arm here, well over the arm there but under the shoulder pad. So to do that I'm going to roll a few little bits of green stuff. Now there's a variety of ways that I'll sculpt with green stuff, but I do like building it up bit by bit with small pieces and just sculpt those individually. So this bit, I'll push it on slightly with my thumb, this is going to be the edge, which I'm going to bring along like that. And then I want to push that in. It's amazing how far it actually goes when you mix it and start adding it. And I'm aware that the strap going here is going to be partially hidden. So I'm going to carefully push the green stuff away from there. And just bring this down. I don't think I'll need the other rolled up pieces. Let's have a look. And there we have, okay, no, I'm happy with that. We have that coming round and up and over. I will put a little bit just here. Let's halve that one. So I start dropping these little bits. The thing I like about green stuff, same with Milliput, because it has a working time. The more you use it, you get used to that working time and the different things you can do to the material at different points. So at the moment, this isn't sticky anymore. Well, it's still sticky, but it's not really kind of as sticky as it can be when you first mix it, as it started to go slightly harder. So you can get some really nice forms with the shape with some very simple moves from a sculpting tool. There we go. So that's now, okay, I'm happy with that. Okay, well while I'm on this one, I'm going to get some green stuff. And I am going to do the bases in this video. And I'm going to put a little bit of green stuff around the base of that front foot. And all I'm going to do with this is just slightly texturize that green stuff. And when I come to painting, oops, sorry, that's gone off camera. You're not really going to see much difference in there. I've got a little bit there, and then that little bit there. I'm going to stick it on the back here. Just jumping around the place. There we go. So then, exactly the same way, I'm just going to build up a little bit of texture on those bits. I will, at the end of this video, leave a nice selection of pictures of these models so you get to see them. Let me just check to see if there's anything else on this one. Don't think so. There's a few mold lines that I need to tidy up, but I think that's okay for now. Okay, right, let's grab the next guy. Oop, and drop him quite promptly. Okay, so this just needs, I think, a little bit around, whoops, this front foot. So I'm just going to push a bit on there. Let's push some underneath. And this, I'm going to make this one look a bit like a stone. There we go. That's all I'm going to do for that one. You've got to remember, I'm going to use some textured paint when I do get around to painting these. And okay, so for the grenade launcher, let's do a little bit of build up and stippling the green stuff on the front foot. And the reason why I stipple it, it kind of holds the paint better and it just gives that little bit of extra texture. And then I'm going to want to put a bigger bit behind his foot on the other side. And I'm hoping with all of these, now that they're all on separate bases, they are going to look different from each other, because technically they're all in the same pose. So I'm not quite sure. There we go, that's all right. I'm not quite sure if it kind of works making one squad from just one model, but I'd love to hear your comments on all of this series. So yeah, if you've got any ideas for future ones, or you want to let me know what you think of these ones, go for it. I'm always open for useful comments. That's okay, cool, okay. Let's get to the flamer guy now, and I think this one, I'm going to need quite a bit around his front foot. So, I'm going to roll a sausage of green stuff here, and it's going through a bit of a stretchy stage, that's okay. Sorry if that's gone off camera. Okay, let's do a little bit of stippling on that one. And this is just filling that little gap under the foot. Okay, that's all I'm going to do on that one, I think. And now let's go for the sergeant, and to use up the last of the green stuff, let's do a few little stones. So first bit, let's put that under the shoe there. I'll put one there. Right shape before I put the next one on. I do like this little kind of the spoon sculpting tool, because it allows you to really quickly make that kind of little stone pebble kind of look by just pushing corners and the edges. Okay, so there's that one there. Oh, sorry, it's gone out of focus there. And then just to even it up, I'm going to put that last one just on this side there. Okay, and there we have it. So I'm going to put the original picture of Sergeant Grogna up on the side so we can look at the differences. So there is the Sergeant, and here is the Scout. Oops. We have the Trooper, the Grenade Launcher, and then the Flamer. Now, I hope you've enjoyed this series. I've really enjoyed making this little squad. Like I keep saying, if you want to see more of it, drop it in the comments. I'll leave a little gallery at the end of the video so you can see them in a little bit more detail. But for now, all I can say is thank you so much for tuning in. My name's John, and you've been watching War Games, Models, and Other Hobbies.